So can I ask you, so it would seem, as much as it was really difficult, there's lots of stories of people arriving in England with a suitcase and £5 and, making something of life. It would seem, speaking to you, that your arrival from Afghanistan into the UK and your assimilation into the UK and now the fact that you're holding political office in the UK would symbolise to me that England is quite a warm and welcoming country. Do you feel England is a warm, welcoming country, or do you think are you on the side of the fact that Britain is a systemically racist hellhole and we hate all immigrants of all kinds, or is it somewhere in the middle?
So I think that it's somewhere in the middle. I don't think that I can hold two ideals at the same time. I can say that there are institutions in the UK that are racist and have huge problems with the way that they act and the way that they treat people, the police mainly, specifically. And then on the other side, I can say that the people of the United Kingdom are so much better than its government, and that they're not racist, and that they're welcoming, that they're open. Because I've been to these communities, I've knocked on these doors, I've spoken to these people. I know deep down in everyone's heart that the UK is a hugely welcoming and amazing place. And I wouldn't have chosen anywhere else. I think my mum made the right decision to come to the UK and not go to the US.
Especially now.
I always say that to her. I'm very thankful. I'm like, the UK, when you come back to London after a holiday or something, or the UK, you're just like, home,
Yeah.
And that's how I feel about the UK, because I love it. And when I was when I was traveling, always specifically in Afghanistan, and someone would say something bad about the UK, I'd feel really angry and want to defend the UK and be like, no, X, Y, and Z.
So do you feel like would you describe yourself as a British
I would describe myself as a British Afghan, yeah.
Right, okay.
Because I think that my Afghan identity will never escape me. When you look at me, you'll know that I'm not white English.
You're not like Bjorn here.
Well, you just know. You just know that I'm not. And then some people will treat me differently because of the way that I look, or my name, or my religion, or whatever it is. But there will be a majority of people who will just be like, yeah, okay, what do we have in common, and how can we be friends and work together? And I think the biggest example of that is what we saw with last year, the Afghan evacuation, and the way that the UK reacted to that. People in the UK reacted to that. I'm not saying the government, the people of the UK.
In terms of education, when you were educated in England, did you find that the teaching of history, for example, was fair and equitable and sort of representative of your experience?
I never really thought about it being representative. I just thought, this is the history that we're being taught. We're being taught about the
100
biggest
Years' War and stuff like that.
We're being taught about World War I, World War II mainly, and a little bit about the Soviet war in Afghanistan, the Cold War, the Cuban Missile Crisis, those kinds of big world events. I didn't really think anything about it being inclusive or any of that. That didn't really cross my mind. When I think about it now, I think that we're not taught enough about history in its actual context, in terms of, we were never taught about the British Empire. The only thing we were ever taught is that the sun never set on the Union flag, and that kind of stuff. So we weren't.
Did the British
really
Empire do anything good?
Sorry?
Did the British Empire do anything good?
Well, exported English language, I guess.
And law, equality under the law.
I don't think so. I think that so if we're talking about South Asia, let's talk about the places that Afghanistan says it belongs to it. So the border between Afghanistan and Pakistan is called the Durand Line. Afghanistan does not recognize that as an international border. Across the Durand Line, you've got the Waziristan, it's a province in modern day Pakistan right now. It's still governed by the laws that the British Empire set back when Britain was ruling over those areas.
Is it peaceful?
No.
No. So what? So
it's still being governed by colonial era laws. Therefore, that means that the state of Pakistan and the military are allowed to racially profile someone and imprison them illegally without them doing anything wrong. There are certain laws that discriminate against the local populace, because obviously if you're an empire, you want to control the local population, and you want to, anybody who is against your kind of rule, you want to stop them from, getting support from the local population. So you'd imprison them, you wouldn't, give them their rights. And that kind of stuff, that law, for example, still is prevalent in that part of the world. So there are legacies of the empire that still exist. But, you know, I think the most powerful thing that the British Empire did was probably the spreading of the English language. And that's why me and you are speaking English now. And when I go to Europe, I speak English with a lot of people. So, you know.
So it's just fascinating.